Okay, so today we're going to look at how I learned code in Nigeria, by Levi Okoye. It's a very Nigerian name. So this is a very interesting video. For those that don't know, I am based in Uganda. Yeah. So I feel like me and Levi might have a lot in common with our experience on how we learned how to code. One day I'll make a video about how I learned to code in Uganda. But until that day, let us hear out what Levi has to say. Oh, before I continue, a lot of you, just for a little bit of context, a lot of you could be wondering, how do these Africans know how to code?
Read, nigga, read!
Yeah, and that's because I just have to tell you this. This is the secret to why Africans know how to code. It has been a guarded secret, and I might be killed for this, for exposing this, the truth about it. Why Africans know how to code. It's because we have this thing in Africa. It's called the internet. Yes, we are not living in rocks. We are living in buildings. Yeah, we have the internet. We have electricity. Yes. Though that goes without saying that there are actually a lot, okay, compared to other continents, most countries in Africa are constrained, you know? Like we share similar problems. There's a word for it.
We call this Africanacity.
So, yeah, like what you might hear or what you're going to hear if you're still watching this video and not lost in my blabber, is common. I feel it's common or is very similar to the story of of other programmers that learn to code that are based in Africa. So yeah, let's get to it, guys. Let's hear out Levi.
Whenever I tell people the story of how I learned programming in Lagos, Nigeria, this seems like a fiction story, but it really happened. This is the first time I'm ever sharing the story on social media, and I'm ready to be vulnerable. This is how I learned programming in Lagos, Nigeria. For those who are new here, I'm Nigerian, born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria, the mainland. Surulere to be very specific. To understand the story, you guys need some context. I did 6 years of elementary and 6 years of high school in Nigeria. I graduated high school in July 2019, and this is
Yo, wait a minute. That is
context.
not him.
I did 6 years of elementary and 6 years of high school in
That is
Nigeria.
not
I
him.
graduated high school.
This is Levi. It's not Levi. I do not know him.
In July 2019, and this is where the whole journey started. In Nigeria, when you graduate high school, you must take an exam called
Oh, I also graduated high school in 2019.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
JAMB, which is similar to the SAT in America. You need to take that exam before you can enter college. I sat for my JAMB exam and I failed. Yes, I failed. I didn't meet the passing score, which meant I couldn't enroll in college, and I had to wait an extra year to retake the exam. My parents weren't buying that idea. My parents' exact words were, instead of me to sit at home for a year, I should go and learn work. Learn work in Nigerian lingua basically means going to trade school.
Yep. Same thing here. We have an exam called UNEB. Okay, there's an examination board called UNEB that hands out your final exam. So the one that makes sure you graduate out of high school to go to university or college is called UACE. That's Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education. That examination that you take. So after that, if you fail that, you either go and do a diploma or go to a technical school. Same thing with what he said. He failed the JAMB exam, so he has to go to trade school or learn work. So it's basically technical school.
To fix cars, wire houses, plumbing. I mean, you get the point. At least I'm grateful I wasn't forced to learn one specific trade. I had the option to choose what trade I wanted to learn. I thought about it and said, if I had passed my JAMB exam, I would have still gone to school to study computer science because that's what I had in mind at that time. So why don't I just go to a computer trade school? That way it prepares me for when I get into college. My parents agreed and I went to make inquiries at arguably the best computer trade school in Nigeria at that time, NIIT. They listed out their curriculum for me and asked me to pick what I was interested in. I had 4 options: web development, mobile app development, DevOps, and networking. I did a little bit of research and I chose web development because that's what seemed the most interesting to me at that time. We paid and I enrolled in.
I too did web development, but simply because I felt like web development is an easier way of like getting into it.
The web development program in October 2019, and I started classes almost immediately. I attended classes regularly, but honestly, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't really understanding anything. The curriculum was so fast-paced that you can't afford to miss a single day of class. Every other person in my class already had an idea of HTML and CSS, so it was very easy for them to, flow with the class. But for me, honestly, it was like I was learning a new spoken language. Let's fast track to December 2019. It was the end of the first semester at trade school, and I barely made it through. Like, I was still as confused as I was when I enrolled. In January 2020, we were supposed to resume back, but COVID hit Nigeria and everywhere was on lockdown. So the trade school had to close and they moved all classes to online classes. And I was like, I was barely able to learn anything in person. I didn't see how I could learn anything online. So I dropped out of the trade school. There was no point wasting all that cash without getting any value from it. Now, at this point, having experienced all this, if it were someone else, they would have called it a day. Like, they're never doing anything programming related anymore. Like, they will probably find something else to do.
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
But see, I was the exact opposite. I was still interested because the whole idea of building anything you want software-wise with just lines of code really fascinated me. So I decided I was still going to continue pursuing this career, but now going through the self-taught route. Now, listen, you wouldn't understand this if you're not Nigerian, but being a self-taught developer living in Nigeria has to be one of the most difficult challenges you ever face in your career. You think finding a tech job is hard? Try being a self-taught developer living in Nigeria.
Oh my. Sorry for the latency issues. I am having a few problems with my streaming software, but
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
yeah, so what he said about being a self-taught developer I'm not in Nigeria, but like in Uganda for my case. Bro, it's not for the weak. It is not for the weak. It is not for the weak. It's not. And getting a job, that's why we all choose to go remote. Like, I mean, it's very few companies that really need those kind of services, because most of them prefer to outsource. There are very few software companies. Like, for example, in Uganda, I think Nigeria has a little more, but where are very few. So most of the work that you would get is remote work.
It feels like all odds are against you, but still, the best developers from Africa are Nigerians. It's surprising, but that's a discussion.
I beg to differ. Okay, it's true. I mean, we're only a handful of developers. But that's because you guys are many. Like, okay, this is not about Uganda versus Nigeria.
For another day. Being a software developer in Nigeria, there are just so many barriers. Biggest of all being lack of constant electricity and expensive internet access, in my opinion. When trying to be a software developer, there are two things that are very important. You being able to access the internet to get learning resources,
True.
And you being able to have access to a computer at any time without you worrying about battery life.
Exactly.
If you're living in a more advanced country, hearing those two things might sound very basic, right? But still, they're very important. But the whole point is that those two things right there were my challenges. I was a fresh high school grad with no job. I basically couldn't afford internet access. I usually deploy my apps and Google all my questions during the middle hours of the night. Not because I enjoyed it or I liked it, but because that is when we had power and that's when internet subscription was cheap. The little I could afford, I couldn't use it to download gigabytes worth of courses online. So what I did was I used the W3 Schools app. This app right here is the GOAT. What I did was I would take screenshots of all the tutorials from this
W3 Schools. It's a W website. It's a W website. I mean, I went through my HTML, CSS, mostly HTML and CSS, a little bit of JavaScript, using that. Like, understanding Flexbox, understanding Grid.
app, save them on my phone, and practice them later. I was doing that for some time until I came across a guy at my church that was also a computer science major in college. His college was also closed, so he said he was learning how to code by himself at home. I asked him how he was able to do that, and he mentioned that he had a full stack web development course he had downloaded onto his hard drive earlier, and that's what he's been watching. At this point, I thought I met my helper. I was really excited to meet him. It's like you finally met someone that you're in the same struggle together. I explained my own predicament to him, that I was enrolled in a web development program at NIT, but I wasn't really getting anything from it. He was
For those that don't get the downloading of courses, sometimes we really just can't afford to pay for these courses. I mean, $6 is a
You're broke! You're poor!
lot of money this side. It's a lot of money. Or most of them are like 13, and that's on discount. Like, bro, it's a lot of money this side. So If you find someone with a course, a downloaded course already, he's like a plug. Like that guy is him. Like plug, want some courses? Want some courses? He'd be like, oh, yo, do you have that Golang? Like, yeah. Could you hook you up with that Golang? Yeah, my impressions are really bad, but my chat says otherwise.
I was very sympathetic and asked what I'm doing right now, and I told him I was also learning on my own, reading up W3 schools, and that I was also looking for tutorial videos I could watch. So I went ahead and asked him if I could copy those tutorials he mentioned earlier onto my own computer so I can go home and watch them. And guys, this dude literally looked me dead in the eye, like eyeball to eyeball, and told me no. Like, bro, I was shocked. I was flabbergasted. Like, he literally said no without any specific reason.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
But jokes aside, I felt he actually saw me as a competition, because when we spoke earlier, we were talking about how linking of CSS files worked. And based on that,
Oh, I'm so sorry for pausing this video, but bear with me, because a lot of these things, I can relate to a lot of these things. I don't know, it's an inherent thing in most Africans. Like, bro, you don't want to see someone else win. Like, if someone had also that we may not even be going to apply to the same places of work, but someone just wants to be better than you at something. It's an inherent thing in most Africans. Like, I think that's another reason as to why most people in Africa stay where they are, because of the unwillingness to like help or be helped, because sometimes people really are proud to be helped or feel too proud to be helped.
That discussion, he knew I was more knowledgeable than him because of the pointers I was giving him. He figured out that I knew more about HTML and CSS than he did, and he basically saw me as a competitor. And that was my guess why he didn't want me to have the tutorials he was watching. I kept seeing him around on random days, and I kept asking him, but he was still telling me the same thing. Honestly, at this point, I was stuck. Like, I couldn't do anything. There's only so much you can learn from W3 schools, and I really didn't know what to do. But fortunately for me, and unfortunately for him, on a random Sunday, he came up to the tech booth of the church where I was volunteering. He had his laptop out and everything. I was sitting there staring at this guy's bag, knowing his hard drive was in that bag, and saying to myself, like, this might be my only shot of getting this thing.
Yeah, boy.
Luckily for me, he stood up and he left the booth. I knew I had no other chance of pursuing this career. Like, I wanted it, and it was right there in front of me, and I had to take it.
Fortune favors the bold! I do not condone stealing. Unless he just copied and pasted the course. That's not stealing. It's borrowing. If he didn't take his hard drive.
I literally ran to his bag, grabbed the hard drive, went to the back of the boot, searched through the hard drive, found the courses he was talking about. I copied all the course content onto a random PC at the back of the boot. When I came back, he was already there, but I was able to slide the hard drive back into his bag like nothing ever happened. Technically,
Mission impossible!
I didn't steal the hard drive. I just borrowed it without him knowing. Right?
What I said, it's not stealing. He just borrowed the hard drive.
Right? Later that day, when everybody had left, I went home, grabbed my PC, went back to church, went up to the booth, and copied all the courses from that PC onto my own external hard drive. Guys, believe me when I tell you this dude was literally carrying a whole bootcamp worth of classes on his hard drive. Like, it was crazy. The web development course was what I was really interested in. It was a full stack web development course. It had a HTML and CSS crash course, JavaScript crash course, and a PHP and MySQL crash course. Now, for those of you asking why I write PHP, that's exactly why. That was the only backend course on that hard drive. I mean, it's not like I had an option. Like, it wasn't my fault. PHP is still a great programming language, by the way. I have no regrets learning PHP, but
I haven't learned PHP. Don't think I will. But I respect anyone that can write code in PHP or that writes PHP. I feel like different programming languages do different things. I can't like just because I hate Python, I'd be like, oh no, Python sucks. No, Python has its use cases. I love Go, Golang developer. Anyone that's working on Google and watching this, if I had a Google cap, I would be wearing it. But like, yeah. Sending word to Sundar Pichai. Tell him there's someone that knows Go. And would have a go at a job at Google. Okay, I'll just back to this case.
Boring.
started watching the HTML and CSS crash course. It was by Brett Travesey of Travesey Media.
Oh, no, oh my God. Guys, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm even done apologizing right now. Brad Travesey was the guy. I remember, I literally, okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story. I was in Tanzania by then, because I'm in Uganda, but I'm Tanzanian. But like, I was in Tanzania by then, and I had this HP, it was beat up. So I'm like, I wanted to play FIFA 19 on it, because, you know, football. We call it football. Y'all call it soccer. Yeah, but we call it football. It's like the most popular video game out there. So I tried to run FIFA 19 on my computer, and bro, the computer just could not run it. So I was frustrated. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to become a game developer and I'm going to make my own FIFA. So in that frustration, I just how to code. So that's what I put on YouTube. So Brad Travers, he comes up and like, oh, make a Netflix clone. So I'm like, oh wait, I can make Netflix. So for some reason, I just channeled the pain from the game not working on my computer to like, aux pin got out. Yeah, I channeled the pain from the game not working on my computer to like, trying to learn how to code. I think that's how I ended up in web development. I just took the Netflix clone video and coded along, and the satisfaction I got when I finally finished it and it was running, that was unmatched. I learned a lot of things from that. Anyways, shout out to Brad Travers. You have helped a lot of us. A lot. And I always recommend Brad Travers to like a lot of people.
Amazing guy. After completing the HTML and CSS section, I built my first ever website, y'all. I don't know if I have a picture of it, but if I do, I'll put it up on the screen somewhere. It's actually still on my GitHub if you're interested in checking it out. This website was one of the...
You know what? I'm actually going to make a video on how I learned to code in Uganda. I will.
Projects in the course, and boy, I was so happy when I finally completed this project. This was my sign that I can actually do this thing, and it's not as complicated as I thought. All I really needed was just the materials to study. I went on to learn JavaScript, and boy, JavaScript kicked my ass. I was literally up all night binge watching tutorials over and over again, trying to make sense of it, but still no progress. It got to a point where I was writing code that I knew worked, but didn't really understand how it worked. I just kept doing it over and over again for...
Now, how I learned JavaScript was, I did CS50 C, Introduction to Computer Science. I did that. So I knew C, like, because, those guys did a great job in teaching C. But I didn't finish that course because there was a part that had JavaScript and all. So when I went to do JavaScript, I was like, wait, these guys do not say that this is a string. Okay, C doesn't have strings, but okay, they do not declare variable types because JavaScript is not statically typed. That's why we're all doing TypeScript now. But yeah, JavaScript really gave me a hard time because, oh my God, I did not understand because it was the first language I did that had anything to do with object-oriented programming. For those that know, we do not have objects in C.
Months until it clicked. I did a couple of JavaScript projects, but I wasn't really a fan of it. Honestly, I didn't spend too much time on JavaScript before I went to learn PHP and my SQL, which I absolutely loved. Learning PHP was what made me feel like an actual programmer. Being able to write server-side code, build APIs, like guys, it was truly amazing. I went on to learn React and it was an absolute disaster. I had to go back and rewatch the JavaScript fundamentals before I finally started making sense of React. After I got comfortable with React, I started getting little side.
I actually relate with this because React just sends you back to JavaScript. Like, bro, if you do not know, if you're not familiar with the fundamentals of JavaScript, leave React alone. Leave it, or else it's gonna get a rise out of you. I was trying to find a way of connecting React and Reaction.
Gigs that started paying me, and I was finally able to afford internet access. I started building my home setup slowly. I bought my first monitor. Everything started working out, and it was absolutely amazing. I kept on improving my skills in React and PHP throughout 2020 until I finally moved to the US in 2021, which opened a whole new chapter of my life, which is another story for another day. I know most people had experiences during the lockdown in 2020, but I put it to you that 2020 was one of my best years. That is when my life took a whole turn for good, and I will never forget it. And also, I just want to mention this. My intention of making this video is not to motivate you to go steal a hard drive or a PC to pursue your dreams. This is me just telling you my story about what I had to do. But was it right? No. Will I do it again? Absolutely not.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
I have everything I could ever need to advance my learning as a software developer. But the actions I had to take just tells you the zeal and the passion I had for this career. I could go all out to just make sure I achieve my dreams. And honestly, that's why it pains me.
Technically, okay, man, I'm not going to justify anything, but technically, the guy still remained with his hard drive and his courses. You just copied and pasted. Maybe if you bought them. Okay, we just call it forced sharing. Can we just call it forced sharing? Okay, fine, I'm done. I'll leave that to that. I'll leave that to God to decide.
Me sometimes whenever I see people here in more advanced countries not putting in efforts to learn this coding thing. Sometimes I just feel like sitting them down to tell them how hard it is to learn this skill in Nigeria. Here you literally have everything you ever need to master this skill. You have constant electricity, you have uncapped internet access, high schools here give out laptops for free, and for those that their parents are paying for their colleges, like you have all the free time in the world you could ever need. Like what else do you actually need except from the zeal and the passion for coding? My advice to you all is anyone can do this. Even my Nigerian brothers. I know a lot of things might not be in your favor. I mean, despite all of this, most of the best developers out of Africa are Nigerians. All you need to do is just be determined. There are tons of materials and resources now available. You now won't have the likes.
You know, that's true. And that's true because I feel like Nigeria's population is large, and that forces people to like compete. I mean, there is competition for resources, so you kind of forced to actually work hard. Unlike some other countries where population is like, you know, it's alright, it's not much competition. So people are not forced to try and think out the box, and that's why I admire Nigerians. I mean, they are very hardworking people. They are very, very hardworking people. That I will assure you, and that's why they're good. That's why they're good. That's why they're smart.
Of AI like ChatGPT and the rest. Just put in the time, and once you're dedicated and consistent, no one can stop you. But yeah, guys, that's my story on how I learned to code in Lagos, Nigeria. A very crazy story I wouldn't want to relive, but it's what made me who I am. I'm also curious to know your own story on how you learned how to code. Please drop them in the comment section. I quickly want to say thank you guys for 1,000 subscribers. Like, this is a very massive and important milestone for the growth of this channel. Our next stop is 10,000 subscribers, and I believe we can definitely do it. All you need to do is do your part by hitting that.
I don't even have one subscriber in the making of this video, but my goal is to make at least 100 subscribers after I post this video. Please guys, subscribe. I wish I had like that, you know, that tin where you like throw coins and I feed the needy or something like that. Yeah, feed me.
That subscribe button. If you found this inspiring, please don't forget to smash that like button. Also leave a comment. Don't forget, I want to know your own story on how you learned how to code. Also share this video to your developer friends. Thanks guys, and I'll see you in my next video.
Smash the like
Peace.
button. Oh my god, he actually superseded his goal. He has 14,000 subscribers. You see this? Levi, you have made it. Levi, you have made it, brother. You have made it. You have made it.
A win is a win. A win is a win. I don't care what y'all say. A win is a win.
Oh my god, this was 2 months ago. Levi, you're on fire. Anyways, this was a W video. I honestly look forward to reacting to more of his content, so I'm going to subscribe to Levi. And yeah, guys, subscribe to me too. Yeah, and leave a like. Honestly found this very inspiring. I'll even add a comment. I found this. Yeah, guys, it's my software that's acting up. Very inspiring. Oh my gosh, my typing. As a brother from, oh my. From Uganda. Comment. Wow, enter does not send it. Maybe shift enter does. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. So yeah, see you on the next one. Peace. I'm going to work on an outro.